Hi, we'll wait a few minutes to let everybody get in here. While we're waiting on joiners, if you guys want to pop into the chat box and let us know where you're from, let me know if you have any questions or what you're hoping to get out of this webinar. Feel free. Going to give it about 2 more minutes before we get started. Joe, I just got word that chat is disabled. Do you know how to fix that?
Let's see. Host and panelists, everyone. There we go.
You're a Zoom genius.
That's what I do. I make dreams come true.
There's our wonderful partner.
Sorry,
Thanks.
my Zoom decided it was a good time to update as soon as I opened it up. I was like, please don't do that.
We're going to give it 2 more minutes, I think, and then I will get Joe's introduction.
All right.
I had just said to everyone, drop in the chat if it's now working for you, where you're from, if you have any questions, if you've got anything that you're hoping to get out of this webinar. I think you're going to get more than you bargained for, though.
Absolutely.
This is cool seeing the numbers keep going up. It's fun.
Isn't that fun?
Absolutely.
I know, I'm like, let's just wait a little longer and a little longer.
Yeah, it's like
Appreciate everybody's patience. We'll give them 1 more minute in case somebody's running late or
Yeah.
their stove
Or their
off.
Zoom decided to update at the last minute.
This is true.
By the way, everyone, this is being recorded. So if you'd like a copy of this, just send an email to info@ironhawkfinancial.com. Put it in the chat.
Oh, we can see the chat, but people aren't. Let's see.
There we go. I just
Now I
posted.
see.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So
No, it's my turn, little brother. You sit back and relax. So I think we can see the chat or type in it. I don't know if anybody else can. So I'm going to say that's why we're not getting talked to by anyone. But we will work out those kinks either this webinar or the next. I want to start by saying thank you for joining us. It's really, really fun to introduce this information to all of you. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce today's presenter, Joe Lombardi, owner and founder of IronHawk Financial, and happens to be my baby brother, who I'm very, very proud of. Joe's been in the financial industry for over 22 years, helping families and business owners protect, grow, and preserve their wealth. Along the way, he's received more than 30 business awards and has been featured in 7 national publications, including Forbes Top 40 Under 40, Market Insider, The Daily Caller, and Who's Who of Building and Construction. He's also been featured as a guest on several podcasts, most recently on The Common Sense Show with Dave Hodges, where he shared insights on how everyday Americans can access strategies often reserved for the ultra wealthy. In addition, he hosts his own radio show, Money Talk with IronHawk, and he's the author of several books, including Being Your Own Bank and There's a Better Way Than a 401k, which I would be happy to send your way. Just shoot me an email, I would say, or send me a quick message in the chat, but that's not working. So if we don't get that up and going, just send me an email at marianne@ironhawkfinancial.com, or you can always send to info@ironhawkfinancial.com. So as a leader of our team at IronHawk Financial, Joe ensures that we are fully equipped to help families across the country save money on taxes, grow their wealth, and protect what matters most. Please join me in welcoming my brother, Joe Lombardi.
Thank you, Marianne. She is our amazing COO, Chief Operating Officer of IronHawk Financial. She helped put all this together with the help of Kevin, who's also basically helping build this to get to the masses. And they do a terrific job, and I couldn't do this without them. So thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Marianne. Um, I want to start by just getting into the helicopter view, and then we'll get into the actual presentation. This strategy is what the multimillionaires and billionaires do. It's plain and simple, right? If somebody like Shohei Ohtani gets a $700 million contract to play baseball, to go from the Angels to the Dodgers, he does not put his money in 401ks or IRAs or SEPs or Simple. And unless he's Tom Brady, he's not putting it in crypto. So what this strategy is, it is a safe haven for everyday Americans to put as much or as little as they want. If they want to put $50 million a year in, you can. If you have the resources and the financials to back doing something like that to make sure it's suitable, you could. There's no limit on the money that goes into it. And then wealthy people, what they do, if you think of somebody like Elon Musk, right? If he needs money, how does he pay $0 in taxes? Well, he probably pays the most out of most billionaires, believe it or not. But how does he pay very little in taxes compared to his income? Is the wealthy lean and leverage the assets they accumulate throughout their life. And if you know what a loan is 100% tax free. So it's all about purchasing real estate, leading that with home equity lines. It's about purchasing IRS code 7702 and leaning that, which we're going to get into today. That is what the ultra wealthy do, right? Love or hate Trump, Trump became a billionaire with a $1 million loan from his father using this strategy, using leaning, loaning, leveraging, reinvesting, leveraging, reinvesting. And that is what the wealthy people do. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to get into this presentation. Okay. So this strategy, if anybody wants a copy of this, again, send an email to marianne@ironhawkfinancial.com or send an email to info@ironhawkfinancial.com. Everything you see in here is able to be emailed to you in writing so that you know it's not a bait and switch. Everything that we talk about is what we do. So I'm going to get into something called the tax triangle, right? Taxes are, in my opinion, the most important thing every American has to worry about. I've had several times where I got back on my taxes when I was younger in the industry, and the penalties and the interest. If you don't pay them, they come to your house with guns. And so it's sort of, if I can minimize that legally and use the same IRS codes against the government, the ones that they use against the American citizens, that's what I'm going to do. And it's not that I don't love my country. I love America. I just don't love how they enslave us. And they do that through the lack of education in our school systems. To be completely honest, I should not be having to do this. This should be in a class you learn in eighth grade. But the governments own the school systems, and so they want you investing in government-sponsored retirement accounts so that they can take half of your retirement account and pre-spend it, as you'll see later on in the presentation, how much money we owe to them that they've stolen from us of our assets. But this is something in what I call one of the most important things you're going to hear, and I would take this very seriously because there's not another hour in your life that you can make $1 million, and you can make $1 million in this hour over your life if you leverage and use these codes to your full advantage. So this is called the tax triangle. There's three places to put your money from a tax standpoint. You have bucket A, which is called tax me 3 times. I know. I'm sure you all remember double taxation with that representation, the Boston Tea Party from school. We picked up guns, we killed the British, we went to war, we murdered people, we poured tea in the harbor, right? And all over a 1% extra tariff on tea that England imposed on the United States. You believe that? 1% is what got us our independence. A 1% extra tariff. So over here, it's called Tax Me Three Times. That's where you have your checking, your savings, your CDs, your brokerage accounts, your money market accounts. These are vehicles where any money added to these account types cannot be written off. Any growth that you have, whether it's through ordinary income, short-term capital gains, or long-term capital gains, are taxed that calendar year. And then when you spend the money, you're taxed. So over here, this is called Tax Me Later. This is where most Americans put their money because the accountants have learned that they can charge you 500 bucks, 5,000 bucks to do your taxes by saving you taxes today, right? When you go to your accountant, you ask your accountant the wrong question. The correct question is, how do I save taxes over my life? Not how do I save taxes in 2025? Because you could defer your entire income and pay zero taxes this year and say, "Wow, I did amazing. I paid zero taxes." Well, you didn't because now all the dollars you defer are going to grow and the government's going to tax you on those dollars later, and I'll show you a real life example. These investments include 401ks, traditional IRAs, SEPs, simples, 403bs, real estate, business equity. These are all things the government says, "Hey, Rick, come on, work with us. We're your friend. You were gonna pay 50 grand in taxes. Now you're only gonna pay 40 grand in taxes because you deferred $40,000 with a 25% deduction, right? So you get a write-off today. You're all happy. Your account value increases, but then you pay more tax on more dollars in the future, and that's if taxes don't go up. And I believe all of us here will see taxes are going to go up by the time you need it in retirement, based on simple mathematical facts. Now, over here, this is called Tax Me Never Ever Again. This is where you have your Roth IRA, which is the only government sponsored retirement account that's tax free. My strategy is called a rich person's Roth, or also known as cash value life insurance, or known as IRS code section 7702. And lastly, you have municipal bonds, but nobody's really owned municipal bonds because bonds and interest rates are inverse. And when interest rates were zero, bonds had nowhere to go but down. So everyone transitioned their bonds into the market. So we saw a big spike in the stock market when that happened. And we also saw a big spike in the stock market when all of the COVID PPP loans and the trillions of dollars government gave us to sit home, the business owners at least, all that money went to the market, right? So let's say you're contributing $15,000 a year and you're doing it for 30 years, right? I'm going to make this as simple as I can so nobody gets a headache, okay? Because a lot of numbers, a lot of terms, it gets overwhelming. So I just try to make this simple, okay? So you have a 401k, and by the way, the 401k could be an IRA, a SEP, a 403b, a 457, a 529. It could be any qualified account for college. It could be a Chet. So when you look at this, you put away $15,000 a year for 30 years. You put away $450,000 of your earned income during those 30 years. 15 times 30. And let's assume during that time you were a high income earner, which means after your deductions, everything, your adjusted gross income was over $250,000. If it's under that, then this is way worse that you will get back. So I'm just saying, let's say a wealthy person, right? So let's assume you're in a 28% federal tax bracket. Let's assume you're in a 6% state tax bracket, call it a third of my income. I get to defer. And during our culture in our financial sector and institutions, accountants started throwing around the word savings. Well, there's a Thursday night football game tonight. That's going to be Cowboys versus the Eagles. And there's going to be a coin flip. And during that game, some team is going to defer kicking off or receiving to the second half. Well, I never heard announcers say, "Oh, this team is saving kicking off. They're saving receiving," because it's not true. Savings and deferral are two not synonymous words. So you've been lied to. Okay. So it's not saving anything. It's deferring the taxes you were going to pay in 2025 to when I'm in retirement. You know the second lie? Oh, in your retirement, you're going to be in a way lower tax bracket. That's another lie. As they invent new things, as we deal with inflation, you're not going to be making the most amount of money in your life in your 50s and 60s. And God, I hope I don't have to be working in my 70s like most Americans do. You're gonna be making the most money in your life. You're not gonna be going from a high tax bracket to a low tax bracket. Basically, I retire now. I live in poverty. Yeah, that's why nobody's retiring. That's why you have these jobs where your kids can't get high level, A level. They're going C-suite jobs because the A levels can't let go because they didn't save, and they know that if they retire, they're gonna live in poverty and can't keep up with inflation. So that whole notion of let me defer money when I'm making the most I ever made, because when I retire, I'm going to be in a way lower tax bracket, is a fallacy. I've been doing this for 22 years. That's incorrect. It's a lie. So deferring your money to pay more interest later on more dollars later makes absolutely no fiscal sense. And let's continue. So you saved up in your 401k, 450 grand. Let's say it grew to 3 million bucks. You're all happy, right? So now you're ready to retire. You're going to pull out your 3, 4, 5%, called $100,000 a year, but you have to net 100,000. So that means you have to gross 138,000 federally, because now when you pull money out of a 401k, IRA, SEP, any of those assets, that comes to you as a taxable income event. So, and I'm only taking federal in consideration. I am not taking state, FICA, Medicare, unemployment, or Social Security tax into consideration, which would jump this double. So I have to pay 38,000 to the government, so to net my 100, and now let's say I want to retire at 60, live till 90, $38,000, assuming taxes don't go up, and I believe I'll prove to you taxes are going to go up. $38,000 times 30 equals $1.12 million in taxes. Well, Joe, I'm not going to retire at 60. I'm going to probably retire at 65 and die at 85. Okay. What's 38,000 times 20? That's $760,000 to save 150, assuming taxes don't go up. This number is probably going to be double with where taxes are going to go. And again, I'll prove it to you. So if I offered everyone in this room, hey, I'm going to give you $150,000 while you're working and call it tax savings, and then you're going to have to pay me 1.12 million in retirement. Deal? Well, I've been doing this for 22 years, over 3,000 clients. I've met over 10,000 people, and I've never met one person that said deal. But yet they're doing it every day, every week, every other week of their life. Money's getting taken out of their account, going into your 401ks. Well, Joe, I have a 100% match on my 401k. Okay. Are you overfunding it? Yeah. Are you a business owner? Yeah. Well, you don't have a match. You are the match. So most of the clients I meet, it is not good, healthy, smart, because I didn't even get into liquidity yet. Let's get into that. So let's say 2008 happens. We almost had it this year with the whole tariff scare, and the market went down 20, 30 points. And some stocks that I own went down 50, 60 points in a matter of 60 days. A little scary. So let's talk about when the market goes down. I'm talking about an actual recession. We got out of it this year. We got lucky. Um, so let's talk about liquidity. Well, when do people access their 401k? Do they access their 401k when the market's doing great and banks are lending at 0% and they have their job? Or do they access their 401k when the market goes down, banks tighten up, stop lending, and they possibly lose their job? And if they own a business, they make way less money because there's less dollars in the economy. Which one? The latter. So let's talk about it. In 2008, $100,000. Let's say the market lost 40%. If you were in the market in 2008, you know I'm being very kind to the 401k here. I've seen 70% losses, even higher in people's accounts at that time, because I was a licensed investment advisor in Wall Street at this time, by the way. So $100,000, you lost 40%. I left you with 60,000. Then you have to pay a 10% penalty. Why? Because you're not 59 and a half. Wait, the government has rules when I can access my money? Not only do they have rules when you can access your money, At 59 and a half, you have a 10% penalty. They have rules that when you're 73 of RMDs, required minimum distributions, you have to take money out of your account. Wait, those are my dollars. I traded my time for those dollars. You're telling me when I can take them and when I have to take them? And if I don't take them, you're going to charge me a 50% penalty on my RMDs? They don't teach you that in school. They should. So yeah, so 10% penalty for early withdrawals, left you with 54,000. Then you had to pay state income tax, left you with 50,000. Then you had to pay federal income tax, left you with 36,500, and that doesn't include FICA, Medicare, unemployment, or Social Security tax, which pushes you down under a third of your money is liquid when you need it in a down market to feed yourself or your family. That's how it's set up. Then you take a look at my strategy. Rich person, what do rich people do? They don't do this. They don't tie up their money for decades. They leverage their retirement account. Remember? They lean it. They use it to buy more assets while they're working and create more income. Because most people think assets are what's important. Income is what's important. Actually, your net income, your tax-free income, is the most important thing in your life. That's your quality of life. That's your roof over your head. That's your food. That's your transportation. That's your ability to provide and support the people you love. Income, not assets. I don't want a $10 million piece of land in the middle of Oklahoma with a property tax of 40,000 a year because that $10 million asset is netting me negative $40,000 a year. But it's an asset. So we have been brainwashed again by our culture that, oh, you need to accumulate as much assets as you can. You need to create as much income, tax-free income as you can. That's your freedom. More dollars in your bank, more future dollars guaranteed to be coming into your bank is what allows rich people to live a stress-free quality of life financially. So with my strategy called the rich person's Roth, that you're guaranteed not to lose in writing. I've never charged a client a dollar in 22 years, never lost a client a dollar in 22 years. That's why I'm A plus rated on the Better Business Bureau with 0 complaints. You have an average of about 14% tax-free returns documented over the last 2 decades. Pretty good. There's no market loss. There's no early withdrawal pet. There's no 59 and a half year rule. Yeah, you're not working with the government. Private equity doesn't put rules on your money. It's your money. Do what you want with it. Cash. There's no state income tax. There's no federal income tax. How? Because loans are tax free. So there's a loan rate. Yeah, it's low as 4%. But the said asset has been earning 14. So to me, if I do math, let's say it's averaging 5, a loan rate with a 14% rate of return, I can still earn 9% on money that's not there that I use to buy a vehicle for my child. I used to buy college for my child. I use as income in retirement. Yep, you can. So do I want access to 100% of my money or less than a third? With all the other taxes that I didn't want to list here because there's too many lines. Then you take a look at a foundation. This is important to me. I'm very passionate about this. My mother died at 52 years old, cirrhosis of liver, had no life insurance, crippled me emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and financially. She died 10/3/09. My first child was born 11/3/09. I just bought my house August '09. That was the same year I got served foreclosure paperwork, but I had a remodification at Chase that allowed me to keep my first home, which I still own today and rent it out. But the foundation is the most important thing. What else happened? My grandmother fell 3 stories off a ladder. Or no, my father fell 3 stories off a ladder, JV Lombardi Builders, lost a $27 million construction company. It took him 3 decades to build. He had no disability. My grandmother had a stroke, led to dementia after she lost her husband and her son, heart attack in Agent Orange from the war. And that stress led her to a stroke, which led to dementia. And she lost my grandfather's estate of $4.2 million when he died. So what this strategy does is it protects you from the guarantees in life. Well, what are those guarantees? I'm going to live super long and die. That's the one we want. I'm going to die early. I'm going to get disabled, or I'm going to need long-term care. Go into this world in diapers, go out of this world in diapers if you're lucky. So what this strategy does financially says, oh, if I live long, what do I have? I have a pension. Well, something better than that. I have a tax-free pension, retirement income. Okay, well, what if I die early? Well, financially, while my children and spouse are mourning and traumatized and emotionally scarred and mentally scarred and spiritually scarred, they're not having to worry about how they're going to feed themselves, especially if you're the breadwinner. Okay. Well, what about long-term care? Oh, we're going to give you up to 30,000 a month, tax-free dollars, so you don't have to liquidate taxable assets and pay double the price of long-term care. Oh, that's pretty cool. Well, what's the last thing? Oh, disability. They're going to give you a check for up to $1.5 million in cash while you're still alive. So you can maintain your quality of life while you're healing or you're adjusting to your new life with a disability. So what this does is it builds a strong financial foundation, which actually protects your real estate, your business equity, your risk, which is your other assets you own, and your luxury. Then you take a look at diversification. We were taught what? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, what does every single American do, minus less than 1% of 1% of them? They put all their eggs in taxable assets. They put all their eggs in the market, whether it's real estate, business equity, 401ks, crypto accounts, gold and silver. All of those are correlated. They all move in the same direction. If you had a blindfold on in the last 5 years and bought any asset class, you made money because they all go the same direction. So we need to diversify at minimum our taxation, at minimum. If I can get you to a point where 50% of your money is taxable and 50% of your money is tax free, guess what you save? Well, that would be 66% on my taxes? Does this guy know math? If half my money is taxable and half it's not taxable, won't I just say 50%? No, because income is based on what? An increasing scale. You're punished for making more money. Make that make sense, right? That's like the kid in school gets an A plus. They're like, no, we're gonna take your A plus money. We're gonna give 18 points off yours and give it to Timmy over there who's got a 50 so he could pass. Yeah, that's what the government does. They penalize the hard workers. So I work with very successful people. I work with Fortune 500 companies. I work with sports athletes. So I teach them to diversify. Did I say put every penny I have in here? No. But I tell them to diversify because the first 50 grand that you pull out of a qualified account, what's a qualified account, Joe? That's a 401k, an IRA, a SEP, a simple, a pension, deferred comp, 457. Anything the government gave your accountant told you that you get tax savings, save a dollar, pay 10 later, that's called qualified money. Okay, well, most of my money is in real estate and retirement. I don't really have much tax-free assets. Well, do something about it. So do something about it, right? So 50% of my money is taxable. I pay 50% I pay 12% for the first 50,000. I pay 24% for the second 50,000, 36%. Well, what if I diversify? The first 50 is taxed at 12, the next 50 is taxed at 0. Well, how is it taxed at 0? Oh, because it came from my non-qualified account, which how many are those in existence? 3. Roth IRA, municipal bonds, IRS code section 7702, also known as cash value life insurance. So would you rather pay 12% per 100,000 or 36%, right? Silly question. Then you take a look at a Roth. Well, Joe, I have a Roth, so I'm all set. I'm good. I got non-qualified money. I'm totally fine. Are you? A Roth still has a 59.5 year rule, 10% penalty. It has something called FILO, first in last out. Well, what's first in last out? If I have 10 grand, I put in 10 grand, it's worth 20 because of growth, and I need 5,000 bucks. They're gonna make me take my gains, every penny of my gains, until I can access my actual tax-free dollars, my principal. Wait. Oh, and if you're not 59 and a half, they're gonna charge you a penalty. So I'm gonna pay taxes and a penalty on my tax-free account if I need it before I'm 59 and a half? Yes. What's the percentage of people needing it? Well, I don't know if you remember '08, but over 30, what was it, $30 billion in 401ks, and 3 point something million people access their 401k. Huh. Okay. And the Roth isn't diversifying your market. It's not diversifying your market. So if I have a 401k, I have real estate, I have business equity, I have my gold and silver, I have some crypto account. Those all move in the same direction. Now my Roth's gonna move in the same direction. Where's my bonds? Where's my safe money? Where's my guaranteed can't lose money? Remember, that's what our grandparents did. I mean, I was in Wall Street. They used to teach me in early 2000s. Oh, if they have 100%, subtract their age from their retirement account, and that's their bond portfolio. Remember those days? If you're old enough. I mean, I guess I'm aging myself. I'm 41. I got into business when I was 19. Um, Maybe I am, but that was the rule. Why? Because you don't want all your eggs in one basket. What is every American, at least every American I talk to today, have? 100% of their money in the stock market. I'm talking 80-year-olds. 100% stocks, not even mutual funds, just stocks. I'm like, what is going on here? So diversification is so key to protect yourself. Because when things are going great, you don't need me. But it's the second tariffs come, the second COVID comes, the second the real estate market collapses, everything that you saved is gone. See ya. Bye bye. .com bubble, gone. Black Monday, gone. So if you understand that people, it's a casino, but then people want to say, well, over time, well, I'm going to show you another picture, if I can find it, where you made $0, 0% in 12 years in the stock market, zero. So when you're out there listening to Dave Ramsey's of the world, you get 12% a year. Kevin O'Leary's of the world, you get 10% a year. Where was that from 1999 to 2012? So you have to understand that, is it okay to have risk? Yeah, risk to reward. Abso-freaking-lutely. But is it smart to diversify? Yeah. Because you know what the last one is? Look at these fees. You know, in your 401k, IRA, SEP Simple Pension, Roth IRA, you have these fees. What are these pesky fees called? Oh yeah, 12B1 fee, Class A share fund fee, money management fee, annual account fee, mutual fund expense fee, or if you're lucky enough, you have a flat AUM fee, assets under management fee, which is still over a point. The average fee is 1.5%. Well, what's 1.5% times 30? If it was simple fees, meaning they didn't compound, and they only charge you on your principal, but they don't do that because the U.S. has the golden rules, and Wall Street married the IRS. All Wall Street is another arm of the IRS. So what's 1.5% times 30? That'd be 45. Grab out your calculator, 1.5 times 30, 45%. But it's compounding. There's no way I pay over half of my money to Wall Street. There's no way. Well, let's talk about it. Your $15,000 at 1.5% is nothing. The $15,000 example. What is that? 1.5% of 15,000, 1,500, 2,250, $225. I'm not paying much. Well, when that grows to 3 million, which it will over time if you have a good advisor, what's 3 million times 1.5%? That'll be 45 grand. Wait, what? 1.5 times 3 million? Yeah. 45,000. What was your first year contribution? 15. How about your second? 15. How about your third? 15. So in year 30, I pay in fees my first 3 years of contributions. What about year 29 and 28 and 27 and 26 and 25? So if I'm losing over half my money on the way up because men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. If I'm losing over half my money on the way up, what am I losing when I need the money? Federal tax, state tax, FICA, Medicare, unemployment, Social Security tax. Are you kidding me? So half my money is stolen from Wall Street while I'm accumulating it, and then half my money is stolen by the federal government when I need it in retirement if I'm lucky enough to live that long? Wow. And I tie my money up until I'm basically 60, and then 73, they force me to take my own dollars out, or they're going to charge me a 50% penalty on the money I was supposed to take out? What if I'm sick? What if I can't do it at 78? Government don't care. IRS could. Where's our 50%? You're supposed to take out 48,000. You owe us 24 grand. For what? Well, you signed up for this plan through your accountant because your accountant, you asked them the wrong question. How do I save money today? The real question is, how do I save money throughout my life? So do you see when I make these crazy claims, I could save you $1 million in 1 hour? I'm doing it right now. Then I said something in my presentation too. What was it? Oh yeah, I said that taxes are going to go up. Well, why do I think taxes are going to go up? I don't know. Have you ever been to usdebtclock.org? You ever been to this? We owe what? Top left? We owe $37.3 trillion in taxes. Every working American who a taxpayer owes $323,000 to the Federal Reserve to make it even, to wipe it out. Over 100 million people owe 323 grand. Are they ever going to get that money? Well, they keep raising taxes. Joe, we're taxed to death. We have all the federal taxes, the car taxes, the sales taxes. We're already paying high 60s. Well, what did the federal government, which is who we owe this money to, what did they have their taxes in the past? Because isn't the past a good indicator of the future? I mean, it's not a guarantee, but if a pedophile moved in next door, he's not babysitting any of my 3 children because the past repeats, or what they say, it rhymes. So let's talk about taxes. Is this a lesson you learned in school? No. Why? Why? We learned about 4AC over 2A square, quadratic formula that we never use in our lives, but we don't learn about real things we lived in our lives that we could have used 10 years ago, 20 years ago to save me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why don't we learn this stuff? The same government that's feeding this really bad retirement account down your throat is the same government educating you because they own the schools. Oh. But you're a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm a realist. I look at facts. Because again, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. And if you want to know what happened at all in this world, just follow the money. So let's take a look at taxes. Do you know in 1912 taxes were non-mandatory? They're optional. We had ATF taxes: alcohol, tobacco, firearms. That's it. And if you paid it, you paid it. You were a good Samaritan. If you didn't pay it, no big deal. No one's going to show up at your house with guns. Well, 1913 rolled around. What happened? Well, they said, well, we're already taking money. We need it for schools, need it for the roadways. We need it to improve the quality of life of your community. Remember when there's community in churches and, 100 years ago when we didn't kill each other for a pair of sneakers? So back then, 1912, they were like, all right, let's make it mandatory. No big deal. Give the government an inch, they'll take a mile. Watch. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years went by, 60 months. So let's say 2019, there were no taxes. 2020, we're like, sure, we'll make some mandatory taxes. And by 2025, they went up 1,000%. So optional, mandatory, 7.5. 5 years later, 77.5. Oof. What was that? That's World War I. Oh, okay. And then what happened World War One? We won World War One. You know what our gift was for winning World War One? Is our taxes only went up 300% from where they were the decades before. Thanks, Uncle Sam. It went from 7.5. We had to raise taxes for war, and then we won the war. And we had the Great Depression. You know what they did for the Great Depression? This is a good one. Taxes went from 25% to 24%. Thanks, federal government. You saved me 1% when I was out of job in a 4-hour line for a loaf of bread. Awesome. Then we had World War II. What happened with tax World War II? I don't know. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years again. Huh. What happened in those 5 years? Taxes went from 25% to 80%. Highest marginal. Taxing the rich. How America's marginal tax rates evolved. Historic highest marginal tax income rates in the U.S. from Statista, the most respected and well-known statistical company in existence. Okay. And then we went to we won World War II. And the government said, all right, we're going to go from 94% down to 80%. Uh, thanks, United States, I guess. And then after the world ends, like, no, we were spending way too much money. We're going to jack your rates back up to 93%. And then they gave us a cool 92% for how long? For about 20 years, 16 years. So you're telling in the 1960s, the highest marginal tax rate was 92%? Yeah, that's a fact. 1960s. Holy, that's crazy. What happened in the 1980s? That's when I was born. What were taxes then? Oh, they were 70% highest wait, 70? No. In the 1980s? No way. Yeah. Google it. Highest marginal tax rate, pick a year. Go to your chat GPT and ask them. All these are facts. So then Reagan came in, good president, for taxes at least, and he dropped taxes from about 70% down to about 50%, then down to about 25% again. Back to match right around the lowest, besides the origination, the second lowest tax environment in history. Then we teetered about 40%, which is still around the lowest tax bracket in today's 39.6. What do you think is going to happen when World War III happens? Which I hope it doesn't in my lifetime or my children's lifetime. But you know how humans are. We fight. And what's going to happen to try and pay off this debt? What are they going to do? How's the government make money? Do they sell goods and services besides human trafficking? But I don't think they do that publicly. What do they do to sell goods and services? They don't. The only way they make money is by stealing ours, called theft, also known as taxes. So if you have a way to save yourself a boatload of money to protect yourself from taxes going up and just copy what the ultra rich do, why wouldn't you do it? So then you take a look at, okay, well, all right, I have this strategy, it's tax free, it's liquid. What do I do with my existing money that I have? Well, I got strategies for that that can get you 14% bonuses on your money. Like if you roll in 1 million, they give you 140 G's for free in writing by $1 trillion company that's been around since 1892. So there's strategies out there that the ultra rich do, and I bring them to the middle class, the blue collar, the business owners, the high income earners, and the normal income earners that have a family. And they say, Joe, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. I do a 401k because my company, my buddy Bob told me to. What's your buddy Bob do? He's a plumber. So you're getting your financial advice from a plumber. That's like asking your landscaper what you should do for your knee. If you don't have somebody who knows what they're doing that has the results and everything that I've built, because again, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. It's just how I live because it's a definitive thing. When I was going through my childhood trauma with my mom dying, my grandmother, not wanting to raise me. She said I don't want to be his mom. When my mom left when I was 4, because she was dealing with the death of her husband and her son. Like I went through a lot, and I went to numbers. That's why I love them. Like numbers are definitive. They can't change their mind. They can't like you one day and not like you the other day. They are what they are. So when you look at your numbers, you look at your life, are you in control of your finances? Are you controlling your dollars or are your dollars controlling you? Do you have a strategy for your dollars or are you just blindly picking assets and hope they go up? I much hope you invested in Apple over Blockbuster. Because at one time, Blockbuster was one of the most valued stocks in the world, and that went to zero. So having some diversification is so vitally important to hedge your risk. So let's talk about a plan, okay? So I'm going to use this example. I'm going to use this company, National Life Group. I don't work for them. I am a broker. I do a lot with companies like Allianz, F&G, Athene, Global Atlantic, you name it. I have access to 200 carriers. I own this policy. My children own this policy. If you go here and you go to Enforce Business and you type in my name, Lombardi, You will find my son Austin, myself, my son Joey, and my daughter Michaela are all clients. I own this policy. I can own anything. I've been doing this 22 years. I can buy myself whatever I want. Why would I buy this company? Well, you'll find out. So let's take a look. So let's go to a new illustration. Doesn't matter the state. And let's take a look at it. Let's say you're from Connecticut, say you're 45, say you're a male, say you're in decent health, not even great health, because you can be at elite, preferred, select. Let's just say you're standard. It's not even a great health rating. It's just a normal health rating. And let's go to funding. So let's say you're like, hey, Joe, I have, 5,000 bucks a month to put away. You can reduce it. I have 500 bucks a month to put away. I have clients give me $300 a month. Honestly, I have clients give me $5 million a month. So when you look at this, you could specify amount. You're like, you know what? Let's do 5,000 bucks. Let's do that a month. If that's crazy for you, just take a zero off. If that's nothing for you, then double it. There's a lot of people here, which thank you for taking time out of your day. I know I got 15 more minutes. I'm gonna try and bring as much value as I can during that time. So then there's this thing called minimum death benefit, max cash value. So you know what? It matters how you build this plan. If you don't build this plan correctly, it can hurt you. Meaning you could put dollars into this and the fees just go through the roof and you can lose everything. So how you build it, at what carrier, with what sub accounts, structured the right way with the MEC where it needs to be, which I know MEC, what's that? It's a modified endowment contract. Making sure that is where it needs to be. And then you have two different levels. You have level A and level B. Well, level B gives you the ability to dump a lot of money in and buy less life insurance. Well, why do I want to buy less life insurance? The less life insurance you buy, the less fees there are in the plan, the more your cash value grows. I'll show you an example. So let's say you can do $5,000 a month, and we can do either option A or option B. I'll show you option B. This is the one I own. So go to quick view. You say, okay, I put my 60,000 bucks in. On my account's worth 52,000. I have 30,000 liquid, and I bought myself $1,034,000 of life insurance. Cool. And as the life insurance goes up, I'm going to pay for the cost of the $1 million every single year. So this is a higher cost strategy, and I'll show you a lower cost strategy if you want. And by the time I'm, let's say, 65, I've done this for 20 years. I put in 1.2 million. It's worth 2.2 million tax free. Tax free. And I didn't even have a good health rating. And this is showing you the worst rate of return in history. I'll get to that. This is showing you a 6.54% rate of return, which is the lowest 25-year period in the last 65 years in this strategy. I just told you it's averaging 14 in the last 20 years. Why am I showing you 6? Because I'm showing you the absolute worst case scenario. These numbers should be double if you were in the last 20 years. So, and mind you, these numbers pretty much are double because this is tax free in 20 years. That 2 million would have to be about 3.7 in a 401k to net that money while having $3 million of protection. And if you see option B is you get your death benefit plus your account value. Remember, you start at 1,034,000. If you add 1,034,000 plus 444, that would be 1,478,000, 79 with the overage. There you go. So all it is the initial face amount plus your accumulated value is option B. 20 years, same amount. I have 2 million. Now, I do option A. So I'm going to buy more life insurance, 2.7, but it's never going to go up. And 20 years from now, I have 1.7. So you're like, okay, well, I have 200 grand less. Why? We have double the amount of insurance. So if benefits are the way for you, you can do option A. If cash value is the way for you, you do option B. Then you take a look at, well, what if I just ran this at what's called target premium? And I still do option B. Well, let's do option A. So, same amount of money, didn't change anything. 20 years later, I have 1.6. Well, you showed me having 2 million with the same amount of money, with the same structure, same rate of return. Nothing changed. Everything was constant. Well, why do I have 20% less cash value? Well, because you have now 3.5 million instead of 1 million. Oh, so the more life insurance I buy, the more there's cost of insurance inside. Well, is that good or bad? It depends on your situation. I have clients that say, Joe, give me the most amount of coverage because I have no long-term care. Because if I go into the actual policy, look at this. I'm going to show you the cool stuff now. I got 10 more minutes. So I'm going to run this strategy and show you the cool stuff. So in this example, again, I don't work for National Life Group. I'm a broker, so I have access to their software and I offer and get my clients these policies every day of my life. I put whatever amount. I did 5,000. If I die tomorrow, I'll get 3.5 million in cash. You know, by the time this 45-year-old 69, you have 2.4 million, 3.7 million, 5 point something million. Great, cool. It keeps growing. What about the company? Well, it's been around since 1849. So you're talking about the oldest in company in the world that offers index options. Number one. Third oldest insurance company in the world behind New York Life, 1845, and Penn Mutual, 1847. A plus rated carrier, 47 billion in assets, paid out 6 billion in benefits, the most out of any insurance company, payouts of benefits wise. So then you take a look, well, what does it cover? Or in this example, what's the rate of return? Didn't I say 14%? Well, the 15-year average and the 20-year average are both 14%, 14.01, 13.99. 5-year average is 9, 10-year average is 11. Tax free, mind you. What would I have to earn to net this for a 15 or 20-year average? You'd have to have over a 22% annual rate of return in your 401k to net the 14% rate of return here. I don't know many people. I've never seen someone's 401k show 22% over a 10-year period. So we're only showing you 6. Well, why are we only showing you 6.45? Well, there's a little 3 here. You scroll down to the footnotes, not to bore everybody, but it just says the maximum illustrated rate for the index and all strategies defined as the lesser of, so the worst of, the average annual look-back benchmark for all possible 25-year periods from the most recent 65 calendar years. What does that mean in English? This is the worst 25-year period in record in this investment in the U.S. Pacesetter Fund that's managed by PIMCO as an option contract. And then on top of it, they took another 50 points off. So actually like 6.95, but I digress. So then we go down here and let's look at some benefits, right? When you talk about all this long-term care and I get 1 point something million, and what are you talking about? Well, terminal illness, go to the doctor, you have less than 2 years to live. Boom. What are they going to give you? 1.5 million in cash while you're still alive. What about disability or chronic illness, long-term care? Oh, they're going to give you 30,000 a month in writing. What about Alzheimer's? You know, what if I can't, you know, I get a diagnosis of a disease? Like my dad had Parkinson's, my grandmother had a stroke, dementia. What would that? Oh, you get a check for 1.5 million while you're still alive in cash, tax free. Well, what if I just have like cancer, heart attack, or a stroke, but it doesn't kill me? Oh, they'll give you up to $1 million, tax free. What? So now I have living benefits? So wait, this isn't death insurance. This is life insurance. Ding, ding, ding. You're insuring your income. You're insuring your quality of life. You're insuring your wife's quality of life. You're insuring college for your children. You're insuring a good retirement that you worked your butt off for 40 years. That's what you're insuring. You, not a hunk of metal with rubber tires that goes down in value. You're insuring the most valuable asset in your life, which is yourself. Sorry, I'm very passionate about this because my mom didn't do it, my grandma didn't do it, my dad didn't do it, and they all suffered financially as well as spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So this will protect the people you love and protect yourself. Well, let's take a look at returns. How the heck is this thing averaging 14%? Well, let's take a look at the numbers because again, right? Numbers don't lie. Sorry, broken record. So you scroll down here, let's take a look at the returns. So I'm not going to bore you for the last 5 minutes on returns. I'm just going to show you one thing, okay? You're not going to own the asset in either of my strategies. I do tens of millions of dollars a year in annuities. Those are averaging 15% with a 14% bonus to come on in. So if you have IRA money, qualified money, you want to look at that asset. I just put my own retirement account in there, right? I can do anything I want with my money. I can buy crypto, gold, silver. Put all my money here. Why? Because I know it's safe and I know it's returning like crazy historically, more than gold and silver historically. So when you take a look at this, you say, okay, well, what is this U.S. Pace Setter Fund? This is a fund managed by PIMCO. It's a point to point. What the heck is that? You're buying a 12-month option contract. What's an option contract, right? Oh, it's advanced. It's advanced planning. Option contracts. Was it derivatives and calls and stops? Remember The Big Short, the movie? The Big Short? The guy bet against mortgage-backed securities in '08 and made $1 billion. Yeah, that's an option contract. So you could bet on something or bet off something, meaning for it to go down, called a put or a stop. So let's say the fund that you're betting on, this example, it's pace setter point to point, gets 10%, like it did in '05. Well, they're going to give you 245% of whatever the fund does. Yeah, right. It earns 10, they're going to give me 24 and a half plus a little 0.19. They're going to be 24.97% tax-free rate of return on my money in 12 months. That's in there, my cash value. Yeah, okay. No, here it is in writing. What? How do they do that? Well, there's something called a call and there's something called a put. So if the market goes up or this fund goes up, guess what? You make more than the person owning the fund. And if it goes down, the insurance company is making the money and they're mutual and they're guaranteeing to pay for your contract. And I'll show you in writing. So let's take a look at 2020 to 2024. Okay. 2020, 14.75%. The fund did. My client's got 36.14. Tax free. What would I need in a 401k that year? Oh, over 60%. In 1 year? I don't even have that in the last 5 years, and the market's been going bananas. Yeah, that's what I got 1 year. Tax free. Just a few years ago. Well, what about when it lost? Look, it lost 15%. Aren't I going to lose my butt like I am in my 401ks and my IRAs and my brokerage and my gold and silver and my crypto? Aren't I going to? No, guaranteed not to lose. How? Again, insurance company is going to pay for, in writing, pay for your option contracts. So you're not going to lose anything that year on your investments. Your sub account is going to lose nothing. Even though the fund lost 15%. Yeah, I'll prove it to you. The fund in the last 5 years has averaged zero. 0%. How in God's green earth a fund that averaged 0% can average 9? So it's not about what you own, it's about how you own it. That's what the rich figured out. They said, let the schmucks take the risk. You are going to take a loss if the market goes down. But you know what? I'm not. My money's safe. And if the market does well, you're going to get nominal returns, and I'm going to get phenomenal returns. Derivatives, option contracts. I know it's over. They didn't teach this in school. I wonder why. Let the peasants own all the risk and let the rich people just bet on the peasants. And if the thing falls, they lose nothing and they laugh at all the peasants who lost their house like '08, like 2020, like 2022, like 3 months ago with the scare of tariffs dropping the market heavily. They're laughing. Well, everyone else is dying. Stress. What am I going to do? I go, the market's down. They're watching the market every day like a crackhead looking for a spoon. Where is it? Oh, what did it do this day? Did it go up? Did it go down? Rich people didn't look at the market. They're like, it's down. It'll come back. And if it doesn't, I didn't lose anything. The rich people are at the casino. You're the one playing the slot machines. And if you hit a bonus, they're going to pay the rich person 245% of your jackpot. And when you walk out of the casino with no money, they're going to give the rich person all their money back. They create this account for rich people. Made by rich people, for rich people. IRS code, section 7702. That's 7,702. That's in the code book. You can Google it. Well, I do the 401k. Yeah, you do the ones up top. You do the 401ks, the 403s, Bs, the 457s, the 529s. Rich people do all the way at the bottom. So if you understand everything I told you, not one thing I said to you today was a lie. Everything is factual. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Why not build your own bank? Why not save millions of dollars in taxes? Why not protect your family? Why not lean the money out of your account? 'Cause I didn't even get into the real cool part. I ran out of time. Sorry. But if you understand this strategy or you want to understand this strategy, set up a meeting with Marianne or whoever invited you here. There's a lot of people here. I'm very happy of the show out of this event. And reach out to the person that invited you and say, hey, I'm interested. Show me. Build me a plan. What does it look like at 500 bucks a month? What does it look like at 300 bucks a month? What does it look like at 20,000 a month? I don't know. I don't know a lot of you that are here, and there's a lot of you. So I know our chat really didn't work. Um, did you get the chat working or no?
Nope, didn't.
Okay. So reach out to the person who brought you. We're going to be doing these weekly. So if this is something that intrigued you, we're going to do one on annuities and why over $500 billion goes into annuities. We just did one on IULs, and there's more to learn on the Be Your Own Bank strategy, which we can have a second meeting on. So, and every time I do a little bit differently. If you want my books, articles, magazines, I can send you all three of my books. Just reach out to either Marianne at IronHawk Financial or info at IronHawk Financial. We'll send you everything. If you want a copy of this so you can show your friends or show your accountant and he could tell you that I'm full of crap, even though everything I told you is factual, bring it. You can't lose when you're telling the truth. You can't lose when you show data and you show facts. So, what if you're doing a 401k and you're overfunding it, stop. Just do a Roth if you don't like this strategy. It's better than that. Or change your 401k to a Roth. At least it's better than this. Better than 401k. So again, thank you everybody for coming. I know it's 8 o'clock. I want to respect everybody's time. I hope you all have a blessed rest of your afternoon if you're in the Pacific, blessed evening if you're on the East Coast. And if you guys have anything to say, Marianne or Kevin, have at it.
Just want to say thank you all for joining. I just realized also we could have been typing questions into the Q&A, but we're a little bit new with this platform of webinar. So we'll be learning as we go. Thank you to the Bridges family for your love it there that I see in the Q&A. I'm glad that you could join us. And you guys have a great night. Enjoy some football.
As you can see, go Cowboys. Even though
Yeah.
the Eagles are way better.
Yeah.
All right, take care.
Hey guys.
Bye, everyone.